Gwen, right?
And I'm Deonta B.
And welcome to Gwen's Business Corner with Deonta B, the Facebook edition.
Yes, and we are Facebook Live ready because today we are talking about fashion.
Girl, you know I love fashion. I love my shoes, my makeup, my clothes. I love fashion.
We love fashion.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're entrepreneurs.
Right.
And so today we want to help the viewers turn into fashionpreneurs.
Okay now.
Because we have people that are doing that. I mean, they are styling people and profiling people.
Okay, styling and profiling.
And you know, that's like for us, you know, we're always trying to find that right dress. We're always trying to find a dress that we can get tailor-made.
Yes.
You know, I mean, designs, we're always looking. When we go to BET Awards, you know, we are always looking for the dress.
No, I need something. They're coming up. I need something nice. Maybe one of them make me something.
So I'm excited about our guests because, I mean, you know, when you think about fashion, like putting it all together, especially when you're in business, you know, you have to go in and out. Like for us, I know at any given time, we could be in the office, then we could be on set, then we could be going to cover an event, then we could be going to a birthday party.
You gotta put on.
Gotta dress down, dress up, dress down, dress up.
And sometimes you just have to look like a bum, okay?
So we can put in some work.
Right. So I think this is going to be a good show because, again, I love fashion and we're talking about a different avenue of fashion. A lot of people don't talk about. We talk about boutique owners and people that, you know, own different things like that. But we don't talk to the people that actually run a business due to the tailoring part, the designing part of a business. So I know a lot of y'all are interested in being fashion designers. So let's get some information about what's going on in the fashion industry behind the scenes and what they really be doing when they be designing these red carpet outfits for these stars and stuff. Okay, so our first guest, we have Mr. Alexander Pizzo. Yes. He is a styling maven, a fashion designer, an author, and also a mentor. Come on, Mr. Alex. Welcome to Teddy Say.
Welcome.
Hey, ladies, how are you?
And fashionable, as I might say.
So, tell us, you're called the styling maven. So, what were some of the steps that you developed in becoming a fashion designer and, you know, referring yourself as a styling maven?
So, I started out going all the way back. I started out with graphic tees.
Okay.
So I think, any process that you put together, it has to start somewhere. And for me, it started out doing graphic tees. And it just built up from designing graphic tees to bow ties, pocket squares, vests, blazers, pants. So it's just been a gradual process for myself.
Okay, sounds good. Right. So why you call yourself a styling maven?
Well, actually, my PR rep, that's what she likes to refer to me as.
I like it.
My thing is this, fashion it's almost like the First Amendment. It's a freedom of expression. So for myself, fashion is just always, it's nothing that's constant, it's changing, it's forever changing. So I like to be able to not just transition with the trends, but I like to kind of be a trendsetter with some of the things that I come up with.
I like that, trendsetter.
Yes. So let's go back to the beginning.
All right.
So what were some of the challenges that you faced starting out in the fashion industry? And I mean, how did you pitch yourself to sell yourself? Because you have designers out there, but for so many people, they don't really know exactly what designers do. So what were some of the challenges that you faced when you were breaking into the fashion industry?
Well, for anyone that says this is not a challenge, it's going to always be finances, first and foremost. Then, having individuals take you serious.
Right.
In terms of, because, there are a lot of folks out here saying they're a stylist, they're a designer, they're this, they're that, and it all sounds great. But to actually be able to fulfill that or be able to make that come to fruition, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it.
Right.
When you're traveling, trying to do shows, we've done New York Fashion Week, we've done Georgia Peach Fashion Week, we've been featured in Sheen magazine, Bon Air magazine. It takes a lot of time, and what tends to happen is a lot of individuals will give up before they get to the finish line. Because it takes a lot of persistence. There are a lot of brands that have been around 40, 50 years, And we may just start hearing about them 5 years ago.
Right.
It's because it's a process.
Right.
And they understand that it's not going to take place overnight. You know, you have to be willing to plan the work and work the plan.
Exact. Plan the work and work the plan. I like that.
You should have said it. So you just mentioned going to my next question. So you talked about your opportunities as far as being in New York Fashion Week. Like, you know, everybody wants to be in New York Fashion Week. And being in Sheen Magazine. So what are some of the strategies that you did to prepare yourself for those opportunities? Because we talk about preparation meets opportunities. So what did you do to get those opportunities?
What's funny you say preparation meets opportunity. I use the 5 P's: perfect practice prevents poor performance. You have to prepare yourself. See, you can't wait for the opportunity and then get prepared. Every day, you know, you're preparing. You know, prime example, my wife asked me before I came, she said, are you nervous about the interview? And I said, no, sweetie. I said, every day is an interview. So if this is what you truly exude and what you live for, you're going to be prepared. You know, period, point blank. So when I received the questions from Gwen, those were questions that I answer on a day-to-day basis because I'm sure as, and I think it's Fiona, is it Fiona? When she comes up, she'll tell you as well, we all have to have an elevator pitch.
Right.
Every single day.
Every day.
So if, you know, if someone were to come to you all about your show and say, tell me about your show, and you say, well, can I get back to you in an hour?
Exactly.
You may have missed that opportunity. And, you know, I'm going to quote the famous Snoop Dogg. He says, he always says, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Exactly.
So you have to be prepared when that opportunity takes place.
I like it.
So in terms of, you know, preparing myself, it's just a day-to-day process.
Okay.
So we talked about how you get prepared. But how do you get everyone else prepared? How do you prepare your designs for display and trade shows? Because I know you have to get all the fashion models together. You have to select them.
Right.
You have to get somebody that's going to fit that perfect dress and make it talk. Like, how do you
make it talk.
Make it talk. That's what I call it.
Right.
On the runway. So how do you prepare for those trade shows and designs?
It's a great question. So I've kind of taken a backdoor approach. Initially, when I started out, you know, I just went in, you know, just going hard, so to speak, doing trade shows, doing New York Fashion Week, doing this show and that show.
Right.
And they're very cost consuming. So the first thing I would recommend anyone to do is, first and foremost, you want to know not who else is attending the show, what buyers are attending the show. Because you want to put yourself in an opportunity to get your product placed in space. So if you're just, you know, it's nice to say when you say you're doing a runway show, there's a difference between what I call old school fashion shows and what I call legitimate runway shows. Legitimate runway shows have buyers. Okay. They have individuals that are looking to help you take your product and get it placed and take you to the next level. Okay. Fashion shows, friends and family, they're there. They're going to all tell you they love your looks, but they're probably not going to buy much. So in terms from that standpoint, I try to make sure that I get things placed where they're going to be buyers. In addition to that, I use concepts like pop-up shops.
Okay.
It's very common because one, it allows you, you know, if you look at all these big retailers, there's a reason why so many of them are no longer brick and mortar. Right. Because it's too cost consuming. So you want to put yourself in a position, you know, and there's a young lady, I think she runs Slutty Vegan.
Right.
She started off as a food truck. But the reason she became so popular is not because the food tastes so great. It's because she placed herself in the right situations at the right time. She was always where there were going to be large amounts of people and consumers. So pretty much you want to take your product to where the people are. You don't want the people to come to you.
Right.
Because there are so many other designers they can stop off and see along the way, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does. Interesting.
So you in the fashion industry, but you took it a step further and you created or published a book called Polish the Appearance.
Polish Your Appearance.
Polish Your Appearance, okay?
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about the book.
Okay, so the pre-order links comes out on March 24th, which would have been my mom's 65th birthday. She passed. It'll be going on 3 years. we're actually going to release the book
Okay.
on the day she passed, which was May 25th of this year. And the reason we took this approach in terms of the book, there's so many, if we're just going to cut to the core, there's so many African American males that are raised without a father figure, or a mentor in the home. So how can we expect them to know what hard bottom shoes are, as some folks like to call them? When I was growing up, we called them leather soles. How can we expect them to understand what a notch lapel, a peak lapel, a shawl collar, side vents, and a center vent are, if they've never had anyone to expose them to those things? Right. So I put together a 6-chapter book, which the book's done. We're just waiting for the right time to bring it out. The reason we put it together is, one, in this industry, in any industry, the first thing you have to do is bet on yourself. So it's about the inner and the outer. So the first thing you have to do is bet on yourself. Away from that, you have to know what your foundation and your core is. And my foundation and my core is the situations that my mom exposed me to. And she would tell me, listen, I don't have the money to send you on trips, but I have the money to pay your Catholic school tuition. So it put me in opportunities to I can meet the types of individuals that I needed to kind of grow and have the type of lifestyle that I wanted to as time went on. You be around individuals who are doing things that you want to do. So it's just a 6-chapter book, and we get into the fashion side and trying to teach them certain things. But what's most important is a lot of individuals are afraid to truly bet on themselves. You hear all the time, and I'm sure when you all started this, everyone wants to start something, but they don't want to use their own money. They want someone else to bet on them. And Warren Buffett, who started off with $100, he's now worth $84 billion, if not more, said that the best investment you could make is in yourself.
Absolutely.
So for me, that's why I put the book together, because I felt that it was important to give back to individuals that may have not been privy to the type of opportunities that my mom was able to provide me.
Awesome.
Wow. So if I'm looking for a styling maven,
Okay.
what are some of the services that I will get from the CEO, Mr. Pizzo?
Well, it's real simple. Here's what you get. So we break it down into about 4 categories. Okay. So our first category will just be consulting. We have a fee for consulting. Then we could actually do personal shopping for you. Because not everyone has a budget to do something custom.
Okay.
But that still doesn't mean they can't be a vital part of your business. Because when you're just looking for that custom customer, your business is going to suffer. Because they have so many options, and let's face it, unfortunately, if we're being very transparent, in our community, we tend not to support one another.
Right.
We'd much rather go to Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Fendi, all these brands that, with all due respect, they could care less if you're wearing their product.
Exactly.
So then the next phase, if it's not personal shopping, then what we can do is we can actually style you. So we graduated, because our slogan is we will grow with you. So that's part of growth. We start off with consulting, then we'll personal shop on your budget. Then we'll take you to styling. That means your budget's growing. The last thing we'll do is we'll actually design custom pieces, custom pants, custom shirts. Whatever it is that you're looking for, we'll take you to that next level. Because we never want anyone to feel as if they have $50 or $500 or $5,000, that their money is insignificant. Right. Because we have to understand what may not be a ton to us, that's someone could have been saving for who knows how long.
Right.
So we always want to be mindful of that.
I like that. So tell our viewers how they can find you.
They can find me at Alexander Pizzo, that's P-E-Z-O _ on Instagram. You can find me Alexander P-E-Z-O _ on Twitter. You can also find me on Facebook, Alexander Pizzo. We have a website, www.alexanderpizzo.com. So we're easy to find.
All right.
Very easy to find.
Well, thank you so much for coming down to GBC.
I appreciate you having me. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And we look forward to being fashionable with you.
Right.
The BET is in June, so
It is.
Hey, Look a brother up.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.
So next we have Miss Mahoney Ellis, and she is a fashion designer, and she is the fashionpreneur and also a tailor.
Right.
So I mean, welcome, Mahoney.
Hello.
Hello.
To GBC.
Yes. How are you guys?
We are fine. We are fine, lady.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We like to jump right into it, of course. So, tell us, what was your inspiration? You're a self-taught fashion designer?
I am.
So what are the steps that you took, to get into the fashion industry?
So, I'm still fairly young. I'm 33 years old.
Okay.
But I've been sewing for almost 18 years.
Wow.
So I've been sewing since I was 15. Pretty much what happened was, it kind of just started off as something fun. It was a hobby. I took a liking to it. But then soon, once I was maybe 17, I was in high school and I was known for the designer. So I was making clothes for one of the NBA players that had a store there. His name was Derek Anderson. He had a store. They, found me. I made jersey dresses for their store at the time. And I think I was 17. I was probably 16, 17 at the time because I was a junior in high school.
Wow.
Senior year, one of my teachers was like, you really should do this. It was my math teacher. And she's like, you really should go to school for this. And that was my dream, I almost say my dream is like a delusional dream. I didn't think too much about it. It was just I had delusional faith and was like, hey, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do this and I'm going to be a fashion designer. Honestly, I don't even think I knew what a fashion designer was at that time. It just sounded like a cool thing. Everybody kept saying I should be one. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But unfortunately, it's kind of I feel like everybody has their journey, and I am grateful the way my life has detoured and routed and things like that. But I was set out to go to school, and then at the end of when you get ready to get your financial aid, I couldn't get enough money to go. So they wanted me to pay an 18 years old, $500 a month outside of loans and financial aid. Well, that just wasn't possible for me. So my brother has been the advocate in my life, with this whole dream. And he was like, you know what, if you can't go, you need to teach yourself. And so I took that and ran with it. I literally found the books that they were teaching the kids in school. I have a hustler mentality, but I'm not a hustler. You know what I'm saying? But it's when I think about something, it's I don't take no for an answer, period. Period, point blank, period. And so at that point I was just like, you know what, let's just teach ourselves. And I found the teacher, my godmother, someone that took a liking to me, became a spiritual covering, became my godmother. She was also a seamstress. So between her and an actual lady that was a teacher that taught sewing, they were the ones that really showed me the skill, from buying books and finding kids that were in school to ask them questions. And I just kind of, just journeyed that way. But it came because I couldn't afford the Art Institute of Indianapolis at the time. I couldn't afford it. So.
And that's kind of crazy because I just believe when things like that happen, because I have a similar story to, trying to go off to school and it just don't work.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times when that happens, I think that's God saying, okay, that's not your journey that I want you to go through. I want you to go this route. Because had not you went that route, you might not became as successful as you are in your skill. Because, self-taught, that means you was hungry for it.
Yeah, and I think for me, I never lose that hunger. I think even more, I'm probably more hungry now than I've ever been. Just because when I first started, again, delusion of faith, this is what I'm going to be, I'm going to do all this stuff. But I think I carried the dream from my mother because my mother had never really traveled. She had never been on a plane. So for me and my brother, we wanted to create a lifestyle for my mother to have a life that she desired. And I hope I don't get emotional because Jesus. But that was our goal. And so my mother ended up passing away. It'll be 7 years this year. And I took it very hard because I carried the dream for her. This is what I'm doing for you. I'm going to make my mother's life better. I care nothing about me. You know what I mean? Right. So even as working with celebrities, people oh my God, I love it, but I could care less.
Right.
Because for me, my drive was for my mother to see her 2 children make it past high school. Right. And so once we did that, it was we were to give her the whole world. And so when she passed away, now it's like I got to the point of she still has to see this dream manifest no matter what. So I look at, my drive is a little bit different from the person sitting next door to me, because this is who I am versus somebody like, oh, it's a hobby. Nah, like this is like embedded in me. I didn't ask for it. God he gave it to me. So so it's really like a
touch, girl. I get it.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
you can
It's
see her strength when she said it. Like, you about to do some bigger things. I can tell by what's in your voice. Like, it's just about to be manifesting all over the place.
Yeah, I received that. Okay.
So define Mahoney as a high-end designer that specializes in couture, because so many people, they really don't know what couture means, and they really don't know what it means when you say high-end fashion.
So I would say, honestly, just like your previous guest was kind of saying, I had to take, because I think when you come into an industry, you have to figure out where you fit. And I think first it does become, it's based on what your belief about yourself. And I'll have to be honest, when I first came in, I was very like, I'm going to be this. And then once you get into the industry, if you're not careful, it will literally rip you apart, like from yourself, from like what you feel, what you believe about yourself. And I think in some way that kind of had happened at one point. I moved to New York and I worked for, again, my whole journey is crazy. I called, literally Google BT's number one time and was like, I'm going to see if I can work for BT. It was just that simple. Called them, got the lady on the first ring. And she was just like, well, hey, send me your resume and we'll see what we could do. So I didn't overthink a lot of things. Long story short, I did get to work for BT, and I actually still work for them. I'm more of a freelance base now. But when I went there, it kind of like showed me what was and what was not. So what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong. And so I was left a little confused on like, okay, who am I as a designer at this point? So what I decided to do at that point was, I still have a skill set and I know that people still need it. So at that point, I literally took a backdoor approach and said, okay, I'm going to be a tailor. Because what that will do is it'll allow me to enter into rooms where I'm not forcing my brand down someone's throat and them like having an opinion about, oh, this and that. And so what's been fortunate about my situation, by me still kind of doing that and still working on my new collection, is that I built relationships with people. So then when they find that I have a collection, it's like, oh, well, where's it at? Like, so they're more like, well, let me see, you want me to wear it, or, stuff like that. So at this point, what I'm currently doing is building and working on my collection, but I'm mainly focused on as a front door, coming in as a tailor to service like an elite clientele. I still do service, everyday people, but there is there's a standard and price points on what I service and what I still do. So the collection that I'm working on now is more of a high-end athletic leisure. So it's for the woman that can transition from, if she wants to go to, hang out with her girls, to the gym, but she might want to throw some heels on and like have a whole street style moment. So that's more like what my girl is, what we're building as a brand now with Mahoney Ellis is a high-end athletic leisure collection. So.
Girl, you said two things that I just really took in. And I think for the viewers, I just have to point out, just in case y'all didn't catch it. Okay, so one of the things that she said was she took a front end, back end approach, and that was the tailoring. And so when we're looking for different approaches, when we're in a saturated market, because we're all in a saturated market. When you're in a saturated market and you want to stand out from someone else, a lot of times you just can't get yourself in front of the people that you want to get in front of, but just because there's so many people that's trying to get their attention. And so she took the tailoring part, which everybody needs. Like, I always need tailoring, right? And offered that as a service. But in turn, she has a collection. And because she's offering that service, they're going to automatically buy her collection, regardless of not saying they like it or not, right? Just based off relationships. Or not. And then, again, she took another approach. Because when you talk about fashion, right, the the line that you're coming out with, I've never heard of a line that's going that way. You're talking about people who, like we just said, we go from bomb to, you know, having to put on something cute or go to dinner or whatever. And so,
and just like even looking at your outfit now, like I'm always observing, but it's like even looking at the color blocking. So it's going to be fashionable where if the girl wanted to transition from the gym, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just like having the woman on the go in my mind.
Right.
How do we transition from work to travel? If we still want to be cute, your girl call, you know what I mean? It's like, how do we do that? And that's what I really started to focus on because we're working women, you know what I mean? So
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about challenges. Because in your bio, not to get you emotional,
I know.
in your bio, you talked about how you've been in the fashion industry, for a long time, and you was building yourself, and then your mom got ill, and she got sick, and then she passed, and that's life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then you had to pick yourself up from that transition, and then you had to rebrand, redevelop yourself. So talk about the challenges, and then what it looked like for you to redevelop yourself.
You know what? That is honestly my favorite subject, period. Because when what God has done in my life and like rebuild, restored, that whole just like making me this better person. And I say this when I tell people this, I have to like put a disclaimer. I would absolutely want my mother to be in my life at this point. I want her to be here. I don't, but what I have gained and the strength that I've had to come into that she passed, because that was my best friend. We're talking about 3, 4, 5 times a day. I talk to my mother. Any event that happens, she's on the phone. Like everything that's been happening since Super Bowl weekend, I've literally tried to pick up the phone and be like, oh my God, I need to call her real quick and let her know what happened. And it's like, oh, okay, we can't do that, So she was like a part of me, but the strength that I have gotten since she has departed here, I wouldn't have got that if I hadn't suffered that type of loss. So for me, it wasn't just even my mother. I've been homeless plenty of times. I had to sleep on couches. When I lived in New York, I was sleeping in 2 chairs. I tell people all the time, like, it's a lot of people see this, the glitz, the glam, but the work, I mean, I've been completely dehydrated, haven't eaten for 72 hours. I mean, it's a lot of just exhausting work. But I wouldn't trade it, you know what I mean? But I remember when I lived in New York, I had to be at like work by noon. I didn't have the internet, there was no car. I literally went to work at noon, got off at 6. It took me 2.5 to 3 hours to get home from New York to Jersey. By the time I got off, by 10 o'clock, I would go to Starbucks and sit there and work on the computer from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. when the next bus ran to get me back home just to get dressed to go back to New York. And I did that every single day. You know what I mean? And so, but to me, it was like, I'm my biggest cheerleader. I'm my biggest hype man. I'm going to sell me before anybody sells me, And so, just going into that, and I was 25 at the time doing all of that. And so I got a call. My mother had beat cancer for this was the second time she beat it. And my brother called and was like, hey, I think you need to come home. And I'm like, dang, I'm in New York now, and I'm always home. This is my first time away. And I remember I sat there in the 2 chairs I was sleeping in. They looked like this, and I scooted one around, and I slept in those chairs for about 6 months. And I remember I said, God, if you want me to go home, I'll go. And he said, remember what I tell you in the light and the dark. Oh, and I just get goosebumps every time I think about that. But I remember that. And I said, okay, I'm going home. And I, put my stuff in storage in hopes that, I would be back in about 3 to 6 months. But unfortunately, my mother passed within 3 months after me getting back home. And that literally for the next 3 years completely wiped me out. Like I thought, I literally hung up sewing, all of this. I was just like, I'm not doing it anymore because this is just not even it was for her. It was not really like, it was for me, but it wasn't for me. And so the craziest thing though, I tell people when you're in a transitional period, you have to remember you're going to come out. So what is the plan when you come out of the period? And I think so many times we sit and we complain about being in something that we don't realize that God is eventually going to bring us out of that. So how are you going to equip yourself once you come out of this transition? And so I had to literally think about like, okay, and just vision boards. I mean, just like really think about where I wanted to be. And I remember on a vision board, I put like I needed $10,000. And I never think it was going to come true because at the time I had never seen $10,000, you know. And so I remember I put it on my vision board. And I think people miss in transition, be mindful of the people, places, and the things that are around you that maybe don't even look like it's something, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I remember at a time I was taking like a program and they took a liking to me and she was like, you know, just come to the program. And at the time I was just trying to save my life because I was very suicidal. And I was just trying to get to a place of like, we got to do something, girl, to keep you in the game, you know? So I would just go to this program. And I stayed in it for about 2 years, like, just trying to do something with my life. And I remember we came up on the 2 years, and it was a business grant that they were giving out. And long story short, they ended up giving me $12,000 to restart my business. And that literally showed me that what you visualize for yourself, if you stay true to it, that thing will come. You know, that thing will really come to pass. Jesus. And I think that we don't realize, and even I have to constantly tell myself, and because I'm still in transition.
Right.
Don't always look at, you know, pay attention to the little things around you because God is always putting people in your life to like help you to the next place. You know what I'm saying? To the next transition, out of this transition. And so I'm just grateful that in the midst of me like so down, that God still showed favor on my life and like put me with people. And I feel like if I was still in New York, I would have tried to, you know, at the point you get your ego, you know what I'm saying? So God had to literally humble me, break my ego, and bring me back down to the people that helped me get to that level. I had to come back and ask those same people, can you help me again, you know? And so I just tell people, you know, in transition, I think it's such a beautiful thing if we can like surrender to it and trust that we'll be okay, you know? And so
that's like really like, and that's really what our show is about, because so many people, like, they see where you are. Like, they would go on your website and be like, oh, man.
Right.
But they don't know.
Right. Like, oh, she got it going now. She doing this for this person.
But they don't know your journey. They don't know your story. They don't know, you know, like, all the things that you just said. And so many people don't realize when you have a dream and you're trying to birth it, all of those things happen. Yeah. You know, that will make you give up.
Just even before, like, this crazy week that I had this week with, you know, Cardi, I had Iggy, and there's another rapper that's called Gunna. The last 2 weeks have been hell. Like, literally. Like, I'm like, Jesus, what is all the friction about? Okay. But it was, and I remember, and I'm very transparent. Like, I'm not somebody, because I don't want someone to be misled to think that this is all this. It's a lot of like grind and gut. And I mean, I cut up my fingers. Just yesterday, my finger was bleeding because the needles from the machine were just going into my hand, but I couldn't stop. I'm like, I gotta keep going, you know? So it's a lot of like work. And I told my friend last night, I said, a lot of times people get confused. Like the last 2 weeks, we went to All-Star Weekend. I mean, I sat in a car because we was getting hit back to back. And to top it off, we got into a wreck on our way back. And I remember I sat there in the car. And I didn't want to cry, but all of a sudden I just let out. And I was like, God, what is going on? Like, I am so confused. And it was just like a very surrender cry. Like, oh my God. And for a split second, I literally was like, I want to hang this up. Because this is, I think, in transition again, when you're always in transition, whether it's from one phase in elevation, you in transition. And I think at that moment, I was like, is this even what I'm supposed to be doing? Because I'm getting hit so hard, left and right. And all of a sudden, I knew for a fact that anything I touch is going to turn to gold. And God is always going to bless me. That is just what I believe. And so when we got back home, something was just like, my spirit was like, you need to rest. Everything is okay. But I'm still fighting like, no, I'm mad, you know? Yeah. And I remember when I kind of just sat back, and then all of a sudden the phone rang. Hey, can you do this? Then it led to this. Then I was here, it's like, oh, can you come over here? And it was like, now I'm realizing you just have to trust, your spirit man knows what's going on. And you have to be okay. If it says rest, chill, relax, then do that. You know what I mean? Because something is trying to align you with where you're going. And so that's where I came this week, was like, you know what? God got you. Like, everything is going to start. And I feel like the reason why I had so much friction is because I feel myself going into another level.
Right.
I feel it in my soul, my being. It's like, ooh, this thing red pop.
Right.
You know, and so it's just like, don't be distracted by the little things, but also you don't ever wait on an opportunity. Always be ready for the opportunity.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like, I'm constantly like, okay, we gotta be ready. So if I go to a client and one of my clients was like, oh, I wish my clothes were steamed. After she said that, every client I leave, I'm not their stylist. I'm just the tailor there to fix their clothes. But I steam all their stuff out. I press it. I send it back because I want you to have an experience.
Exactly.
Because when I leave you, you're going to go tell your girl. And then your girl going to go tell somebody else. So it's like, I want you to feel like, dang, she came in, she had all the stuff and had her table. Like, I didn't have to ask for, you don't have to ask. I don't have to ask you for anything. I come literally ironing board, sewing machines, tables, chairs, everything you need. It's like, because I want you to feel like, wow, that was a whole moment she just brought into my life, you know?
Right.
And so, yeah.
I'm like, damn, you ain't got to answer that many more questions. She don't like
She already.
She don't even said everything you need to ask, honey.
So you basically you answered part of my question because I mean you work with several celebrities, but how do you develop the creativity? Because you just told us you created the experience, so I already know that's why they're after you. But how do you develop the creativity? Because when you're dressing celebrities, of course you want to make them set aside this artist set aside from this artist, this celebrity set aside from this other celebrity over here. So how do you develop the creativity to make sure that everybody is on point and they're different from the next person?
So I guess there's a two answer to that. The first thing, as far as tailoring, I'm just the person that comes in and properly fits everything you want.
Okay.
Now, when someone wants to contract me in for like a custom piece, then it's either two parts. Either me and the stylist kind of come together and say, okay, this is the vision, and then this is what we need to do to execute it.
Okay.
And then if they reach out to me directly and say, hey, I kind of want something custom made, what do you think? Then I literally, I get to know the client through their photos,
Okay.
what they like, what they're subconscious about. Like, you can tell in people's pictures, like how they dress, how they move. So I'm more of a feeling person. So if I talk to someone a little long, like whether if it's 5 or 10 minutes, like I'm starting to observe, like, okay, this person likes this type of fit, And so based on that, then I come back and then like kind of visualize like them in something.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, then it's like, okay, this is what we should do. And most of the time they agree with me, But then you have some people that'll be like, well, but you kind of stretch them a little bit out of their comfort zone. So I feel like I still get the win a lot of the times.
So what you think I should watch the BET Awards? What I look
Because
like?
the BET Awards is coming.
What do I look like?
Okay.
I need to wear, girl? I did like feather, and I did sequins.
Okay.
I want to do something different.
So have you ever did something just like very like sleek and sexy, like, What's your favorite colors? Like, are you more like, have you ever did like blush? Like a blush?
I did do a blush, that pink. I think the pink was feathery.
Okay.
But I always do. I haven't done, and I think because of my age, because I'm about to be 40,
But
right?
you
I
look-
want to be.
You look good.
Thank you. I want to be like.
Did you say you were about to be 40?
I am. Oh yeah. Oh
She
yeah.
said, well, look, because you're
Oh
40.
yeah, well, okay, whatever, girl. Yeah, but I want to be like, I always do the glitz. So I think you was right. The chic.
I mean, I like more like a very like clean but sexy,
I love
like a something that's like just like flows on your skin, and then like maybe have something with like a little high spit kind of, and like something that just flows out. But I don't know. When I looked at you and you said something, I thought blush was the first thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do like
Yeah.
pinky.
Yeah.
Those
she
are my
Like
colors.
a really blush color, and then like something simple, like simple little nice rings to kind of like pop it out, little drop, little earring, and maybe something that kind of comes a little bit,
She know you. She don't know you, but she knows.
But that's like
She's good.
when I see you, I'm like, oh, that'll be cute on her, like
I need to lose about 5 pounds.
No.
But we'll see, girl. We'll see. But so you've done a great job. Like I said, I can't even ask you no more questions because I just feel like you kind of touched on every area. Like you showed the hard work, the challenges, what it takes to be in that profession. I don't have any more questions for you. So tell the people how how they can find you.
Okay, so, but you know what? I have some advice for people that want to get into the industry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Because, and a lot of people ask, you know, like how to get into the industry. And I think, like, I would tell people, like, I always look at who I want to work with. So I make a list, like, and I still do this to this day. I have to reach out to like 20 people a day, like stylists, like whoever it is. It's almost like I'm intentional about my even social media. So I tell people, like, if you're trying to get into the industry, you got to be mindful that these people have thousands of people trying to reach out to them. How do you set yourself apart? Most of the time, people forget just having human conversations. Like, don't try to sell me nothing, but just you might comment a little bit. And when I say maybe 75% of my gigs have came from Instagram. Literally. I don't go in forceful and be like, oh my God, this. And of course, you know, I do reach out to people, say, hey, this is what I do. But if it's like someone that has like a huge following, and, you know, it might take me a little time to get to them, I just start off really simple and start conversating with them in their messages and their posts. So they may post something, and then after a while, you start to see who really follows you and comments a lot. And then you move it from there to like their DM and be like, oh girl, I love that looks so cool on you. And it's like, oh wait, what did you say you did again? And then we start building relationships like that. So I always tell people, like, don't forget just the simplest, like, just acting as a friend, like being a friend, like asking someone how they're doing instead of like, oh my God, what do you do, and all of this, and hitting them with like thousands of questions. But make your list and be intentional, like, these are the people I want to work with. Who can I intern for? Because I think that's the thing, like, a lot of people come in interning and they just want your job. And they don't realize that your job is a for real job and not like a for real just fashion job. It's like, oh, we really work. So I tell people, even when they intern, just be honest about what do you want from me? Like, don't sugarcoat it like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to learn. Okay, cool. So I think just being like authentic and honest about your approach when you do reach out to people, because a lot of times you can filter through bluff. And it's like, if you're just trying to get over here to see what, you know, how you're going to get next to, you know, a fit-in with Cardi or something, that's not going to work. So I think just like, even for social media, like, I don't really think people realize like the benefit of Instagram.
The power.
Like, I was like, I literally have gotten 75% like just referrals, Instagram. And I think, again, just my personality, people are like, oh, well, she seems cool. You want to come to work today? And I'm like, yes. A coin? Okay. So I think people just don't realize, like, making sure that you really capitalize on your social media, but don't go at it from like, just what can I get, but just like kind of fill it out. Like, just comment simple, like, you know, if I saw your post about this outfit, I'd be like, girl, that is really cute on you, and leave it alone. Like, not trying to go back and be all in your, but just, it'll be a continual thing, like just building up to us having a conversation. And 9 times out of 10, that has allowed me to move from a post to like, hey, here's my number. Oh, like, I just referred 2 people, like they thought I was at LA this weekend. They referred me to do something for June Ambrose, alterations for June Ambrose. And I was like, well, my friend I just met on Instagram, she's a tailor in LA. So I passed her the gig. Because I'm not, I don't think you have to be scared if something's going to come back to you. And I think that's what people is. It's like they try to hold on. So I would say, like, be friendly. Like, what you give out is what you're going to get. So if you're constantly, like, building other people and helping other people, those same people are going to do the same. And so that's kind of like a lot of tailors from other states. They be like, hey, you in Atlanta, you want to work? I got this person. I'm like, yeah. So now in return, I do the same thing. If I'm not somewhere, let me find you somebody real quick, because I want to keep my reputation of, oh, if she's not available, she's going to send good people. Right. You know, so just little things like that I would tell people to, like, make sure they pay attention to.
She got y'all, like, the strategy.
I know.
It clearly works. Like, it clearly works. And I think people, like she said, the power of social media, I think a lot of our guests for the show are people that we network with or got through some form of social media. So it actually works. But tell them how to find you.
So you guys can find me on Instagram. My website is also the same. Any platform is the same. It's Mahoney Ellis, and it's FHONIAELLIS. And you can also just call me Fee. Touched by Fee is my whole thing. So.
Well, we definitely been touched by Fee.
Yes.
I think it's the personality. Right. It's the styles too, but I think it's the personality.
Right. Well, y'all know it's still tag season. We're almost at the end. So So y'all come check us out. Me and Didi, we've been struggling, stramming, running numbers all tax season, and still trying to get y'all some nuggets. So give us applause. Okay, so definitely, if you haven't got your taxes done, we know y'all people don't want to file, but you got to file anyway. Deadline is coming up. You can still hit us up. You can hit me, Gwinnetta Wright. At Gwinnetta Wright, and on all social media outlets. You can come check me out in Columbus, or you can book me in Stone Mountain. Come check Deonta out in Stone Mountain. We cover all 50 states. You can visit our website at www.experttaxservices.com, or you can request a virtual tax package. But before I go, my best friend's birthday is this upcoming weekend, so I have to say, so best friend, I have to tell you happy birthday. So I hope we enjoy and have fun for your birthday. Y'all tell my bestie happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, and so tell them how to find you.
Oh, you just made me forget everything. I forgot it was my birthday. So you can find me at all social media outlets at The Real Deonta B. And check us out at GwensBusinessCorner.com. And also check us out on the TV show every first and third Monday on Fox 54, and also on our live shows every second and fourth Monday.
Hey, I gotta stop you. I'm sorry, y'all. We live. It's whatever. Girl, we taking a break. We ain't coming back till you live.
I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
Oh, we taking a break. It's gonna be my birthday for the rest of the year.
Right. So, but stay tuned. Make sure you follow us. We're getting ready to get back out in the streets to cover all your hottest events. We're gonna be in LA. We're gonna be in New Orleans. We're gonna be all around the ATL. So definitely check us out. We're getting ready to get regroup for our next upcoming season. So make sure you are following us on all social media outlets at Gwen Business Corner, and make sure you can go check out all our past episodes from our Facebook shows and our televised shows at Gwen Business Corner on YouTube. And we out.
We are out that way.
That way.
We have to take a picture in these green chairs. I say green.